Quick question. How many pages do you think it took to prove 1 plus 1 equals 2? 1? 2? 67? Okay, how about I give you a range? How many of you think it took 3 pages? It's really hard to see with this light glaring on my face. Okay, I can see like a show of hands. How many of you think it took 10 pages? Okay? And finally, let's just throw it out of the ballpark here. How many of you think it took 50 pages? Oh, that's quite a number of you. Well, in reality, all of those answers are wrong. It took precisely 362 pages just to prove 1 plus 1 equals 2. 362 pages of rigorous proof just for the simplest truth that we all know. And that tells us something profound, that the destination is just a number. But the journey, now that's the entire story. My name is Sainath Rao, and I want all of you to think about something for a moment. Every success you've ever admired, every achievement, every title, had a story that most people never saw. And if something as simple as 1 plus 1 equals 2 took that many pages, maybe our lives work the same way. So today, I want to share with all of you how I started viewing my life not as a destination, but as an equation of becoming. Now, before I start, I want to share with you a short story. And this goes back to primary school. You see, back then, I had this sense of overconfidence, thinking I was good at everything. I gaslit myself into thinking I was the smartest kid in the batch, the fastest athlete in the school, even the best speaker Malaysia has ever produced. Crazy, right? And the scary part is, that mindset followed me into high school. Until one moment, it shattered. You see, in 2022, there was this one competition that I wanted to win so badly called Digital Ninja Program. Partly because I love STEM and innovation, but one of the reasons was that my sister won it a few years back. And so I entered this competition thinking I already knew the answer. I had to win. I had a legacy to win. And it was around the semi-finals when my team was struggling that one of the facilitators pulled me aside. He said, and I quote, "Sai, do you think you have some sort of legacy here? Don't come in here with a full cup. You'll gain nothing out of it." And those words hurt more than losing ever could. And it taught me something important, that confidence without humility isn't confidence, it's blindness. Even though we eventually won first place for that competition, I realized that no matter how prepared we may seem, how capable we are, we never really know the answer. So the best thing we can do is to prepare ourselves with a formula, a handcrafted equation, not for certainty, but for an uncertain outcome. Okay, can all of you look at the ceiling for a second for me? What do you see? The lights, the aircon, the patterns, the decorations? Well, yeah. You look at a dog, you'd see what breed it is. What color is its fur? You look at a car, you see the color of the car. What brand is it? But something very interesting happens when I ask people what happens when you look at yourself. While most would still say, "Oh, I see a reflection of me through the mirror." Or if you're looking at a photo, "I see a younger version of me." But some people tend to be more descriptive. Like if you ask me, what do I see if I look at myself? I see a handsome young man that's going to be a millionaire in the next few years. Everyone has their own description. And this only mostly happens when we're looking at ourselves, when we're looking inwards. Sure, I can ask you to describe the ceiling. I can ask you to describe how a car engine works, but in reality, our brains tend to default towards the simplest possible definition when we are tasked with identifying. But life isn't like that. If I ask any of you in the audience today to describe life, what would you say? You'd ask me which component of life, which definition, which part. Some people define life as being alive, some as giving birth, some as being successful, some as general as just living. And with so many definitions and so many components, even if there was one definition, I doubt you could describe it accurately. But with conditioning your mind in a certain way, by rewiring the way your brains work, you can actually start to deliberately view life through an equation. And I'm here to tell you how. Now, I want all of you to go back in time when you were around 6, 7 years old. Remember the time when your mom would ask you to wash the dishes? There would be two main responses generally. One, you would start to whine in hopes your mom would give up. Or two, you'd procrastinate like your life depends on it, and then hope that she would forget. We know no isn't an answer because we don't want to get a beating. And that is what we call conditioning. We respond not because we thought about it, but because we've been trained. Even if actions seem voluntary, our brains have some sort of framework to connect the dots and produce a response. And that's the exact idea I want us to use to condition our brains to see life through the way I see it. So first, let's call it cognitive reframing. The next time you see someone, don't just think of their name. Don't just think of a title or a label. Think what they have done to you. What benefit have they brought? Who are they to you? And this way, you stop processing information emotionally, but start processing it logically. And trust me, this simple exercise will change the way you perceive life. And then you have mirror envisioning. The next time you look at yourself in the mirror, don't just check yourself out. Ask yourself, what's one positive thing that will happen to me because of what I will do later in the day? And studies have shown that people who practice this, who practice manifesting, are more likely to achieve whatever they manifest than people who just dream blatantly. And then we have self-reflection. Now, this isn't about feeling nostalgic. This isn't about reminiscing. But it's about asking yourself what worked. What didn't? Why is it that way? And this way, we can turn our past experiences into data. Data that can then be categorized into variables to be built into an equation. So what's the benefit of all this? What's the point going through all these exercises? Well, the main thing here is clarity. You see, when life starts to be chaotic, when there's so many components at play, an equation simplifies them into variables. You know what to prioritize. You know what to avoid. You know the consequences for each and every one of your actions. And this way, life starts to become so much more clear. So what does this equation look like? I've been explaining how you view life through an equation, but I've never really showed you how does it look like. So my equation starts off like this. Failure plus willpower. You might be wondering why failure is even in the mix. Personally, the more I fail, the more determined I become to reach my goal. And my willpower complements that. And then we have effort. Because realistically, I can have the willpower of 100 gorillas. I can fail 1,000,000 times, but if I don't put a single second of effort into whatever I want to do, it amounts to nothing. Whatever times 0 is 0. And then it's fear. Fear that I might mess up. Like even as if I'm standing right here in front of you today, I have fear. Fear that I would forget my script. That none of you would actually understand what I said. And even the slightest amount can diminish my results. And then there's distractions. Just like everybody, distractions is the number one thing that hinders my productivity. And last but not least is faith. Faith in myself, faith in God, faith in the world, faith in whatever it is out there. Okay, I showed you what my equation looked like, but your equation doesn't have to look like this. It can take in any shape and form. This equation is only for me. You have to figure out what variables to put in and how they interact with each other. And you might be wondering, does this equation even work in a practical sense? Well, I'm here to prove it to you. Okay, let's take the example from earlier about washing dishes, okay? To say that I've been belittled so many times for washing the dishes wrongly, let's put that as failure. To actually get the determination to get out of my seat and walk all the way to the sink, that's willpower. Actually putting in the work to scrub those plates, that's effort. The fear of my mom's voice getting louder and louder the longer I procrastinate, it's right there. And the distractions, playing video games, watching movie, talking to my friends. So you see, if something as simple as washing the dishes can be described as the equation of becoming, surely anything can. In fact, I have one more proof to all of you. I want to make a confession. When I was writing this script, I'll be honest, I rewrote it countless times because I felt like it wasn't good enough. I felt like if I wanted to deliver a strong message, I needed something relatable, something that people would understand and they can take home to apply. And so I decided to use my own equation. For one last attempt, I decided to use the equation of becoming to write the script that I'm using to all of you today. And I revisited my failed attempts. I got the will to restart. I put in countless hours writing the script again. In fact, the final draft of this was just made 4 days ago. And I reduced my fear of messing up on stage, minimized my distractions, and finally, I had faith in myself that I can get on this stage and deliver this message. Until now, I don't know if it worked. I don't know if any of you truly listened to me or you were just scrolling through your phones or talking to each other. But that's besides the point. Ladies and gentlemen, the equation of becoming isn't about knowing the answer. It's about creating the best path forward. Because life isn't stagnant, nor is it a product. It's an iterative process with no definitive answer. And I don't have the answer. Neither do you. Neither does anybody in this hall today. But what I do have is an equation. And maybe, just maybe, it's time for all of you to start building yours. Thank you.